Greeting and welcome. I'm your host Nishant Sharma. And please give warm welcome to our guest Earl Stewart. Earl Stewart is internal medicine physician, founder, cook, podcaster, and pianist. Hi, welcome to our show, Earl Stewart.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who were you surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
Well, I would say first and foremost, my family, my village, I so often call them, which encompassed my immediate family, my extended family, my neighborhood where I grew up, and also my church. My church was a very integral part of my upbringing. I am a Christian, and I believe in the exquisite beauty of the Black church. So I grew up in the confines of the African American Black church tradition, and so that's where I first got my exposure to caring for other people and fellowshipping with other people and loving other people, and that sort of translated into a desire to go into medicine.
Okay. What are the top three reasons why do people fail?
Why do people
Fail.
fail?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think it's multifactorial. I don't think it's just one answer. It depends on the individual's priorities. People sometimes have difficulty prioritizing what they need to prioritize. Um, a lot of times, I think people don't have a plan. I often encourage those I mentor, younger people in my family, that it is absolutely paramount that if there's something that they want to achieve, they must have a plan. They must write it down. They must basically consult people who have maybe traveled the same route, whether it be uh, shadowing or just contacting people who are doing what it is that they want to do and achieve that goal. But you have to have a plan and you have to prioritize how you need to put that plan into action. But those are, I think, some of the two most common reasons why people may fail at achieving whatever goals they pursue.
Okay. So what are the top three success secrets that other can model from you?
Well, I would say I'm very I hate redundancy. People who work with me know that I don't like to have to do the same thing multiple times, especially in a day's time. So I feel like one of the greatest threats to efficiency is redundancy. Um, so I often try to basically work in a certain way, not only in my professional life as a physician, but also in my personal life to eliminate having to repeat the same task that's already been done before. Um, a lot of times in the profession of medicine, we're encumbered with so much redundancy that it's stifling. You know, you'll fax something for a patient to a specialist or a surgeon. They need to have surgery. You do preoperative clearance on them. You know, you come back in a couple of days, and it's not been received, or the surgeon doesn't have it, or the patient needs it to go to another fax number. Those sorts of things are things that I really, 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 really dislike. So one of the things that I've been able to do is to sort of orchestrate my team around being more efficient and limiting redundancy. I'm a person who doesn't avoid, tasks. So if something is on my list, if something is on my plate, if something is on my agenda for that day, I go, head on into it. I don't procrastinate. And so I think if there's anything that I can teach people, I try to do my very best to encourage people to tackle issues head on and to certainly be as efficient as possible in their workflow.
How do you handle procrastination? Like you said, I don't face problem of procrastination.
What helps me with the elimination of procrastination is pretty much being able to take care of myself, making sure I have time for self-care, making sure I devote time to my mental health, making sure that I spend enough time on improving my personal life as I do my professional life. I think those who are prone to being procrastinators will sometimes find it that they don't take good enough care of themselves where they can do the work that they have been called and tasked to do every day. So you got to get a good night's rest. You have to prepare for tomorrow. Look at what the day is holding. Nobody knows what the future is going to hold, but you can at least prepare and know what to anticipate. And for us as physicians, sometimes that means pre-charting on our patients tomorrow, or getting an assessment of what a patient's coming in for, not going into things blindly. But I think procrastination for me is avoided by making sure that I am physically, mentally, and emotionally prepared for any task that that I'm to meet.
Okay. Who is your ideal client?
Oh, my ideal client. My ideal client, I would say, would probably be a patient who is as equally committed to their health and health care as their physician is. And I say all the time in personal circles that I feel like the world views us as doctors as being providers. And I don't really like that term. Most physicians don't like the term of being referred to as providers, because when you're called a provider, you're really supposed to be the one doing everything in a specific relationship or providing a certain type of service. We do that. But the physician-patient relationship is one that is much more profound than that, because at its core, it should be a partnership. So the physician has the responsibility to be the chief consultant for the patient in terms of health-related matters. But once the physician has made recommendations about how to treat a disease or how to provide cure to a specific condition, the patient's responsibility is to follow through with that. And it's unfortunate that sometimes, people are busy, they forget things, but I see it more often than I would like. I see patients sometimes don't follow through, or they will substantively disagree with what someone with medical expertise has recommended for them. And that's a part of the everyday of what we do, trying to basically convince patients based on evidence-based guidelines what they should do for a specific condition. But people sometimes have a gross mistrust of the medical profession. And so I would say I spend a lot of time trying to help them overcome that mistrust, and to at the very basis of our relationship should be trust, because you should not go to a doctor that you don't trust.
How do you find your ideal client?
Well, there are different avenues in place for me to, through my health system, to basically accrue patient clientele. So, and WellStar is phenomenal at that. I mean, one cannot really underestimate the power of word of mouth, because that word of mouth can sometimes basically get you entire families who seek your guidance and seek your care in terms of their medical care, which is very, very delightful to have a whole family want to come to you and want you to be their doctor. And it's very rewarding to take care of entire families. But I would say I don't do a lot of that legwork. outside of just trying to be the best doctor I could be. We have staff members and practice and organizational leadership that has systems in place and resources in place to allow me to basically be available to patients. So doing a good job, I would say, is the greatest way that I really am able to draw patients to our practice. There's different, online mechanisms, review sites, sites like ZocDoc where patients can find doctors that they need. Sometimes their insurance company will recommend a doctor that's in network. But word of mouth, I would say, is also equally calibrated in terms of drawing patients to a doctor. If a family member of a patient really liked you and really liked to visit with you, they'll go back and tell others. They'll tell church members and neighbors, friends. And it's not uncommon. I have patients I see, and they'll have a friend who moves to Georgia, who moves to Atlanta from even another state, and they'll say, "Oh, you should go see my doctor if you need a new doctor," and they tell me. And it really is very heartwarming that people would put that degree of trust in you, not only to take care of themselves, to take care of them as an individual, but they would also encourage and trust you enough to take care of the people they love, which is there is nothing greater than that to me.
Okay. So how do you start your day?
So I start my day first and foremost in prayer. So when I wake up in the morning, I thank God for that very day, and because I consider each new day a blessing. And I have a specific morning routine. I usually check a couple of emails before I get out of bed. I'll do a little reading of something that's on my nightstand. I will 2 or 3 days a week I will work out. I have a home gym, and so I'll work out in my home gym for about 25 to 30 minutes. I shower, and then I get dressed and I drive to work. And the commute to my office is about 15 to 20 minutes depending on traffic. But that's usually my morning routine.
Okay. What are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful for my life, especially here at this juncture in our global life of basically overcoming a pandemic that in the United States alone has killed and taken from us about over 900,000 people, close to 1 million people now, I understand. So as a physician who was on the front lines in my practice, swabbing people and having to put on personal protective equipment and taking care of patients who were discharged from hospitalization with COVID in its various forms. I came face to face with those patients every day, and many of whom were still infectious. And I thank I thank God for my life. That I know some physicians died as a result of taking care of patients with COVID, but somehow in some way I was spared. But I also thank God for knowledge and for the science behind vaccines, because I think the vaccines that we have were integral in helping me to stay alive, because I did my due diligence and I got vaccinated when I was supposed to. And it permitted me the opportunity to continue to see people who were sick. That's what the goal was of having vaccines. But first and foremost, every day to me, every new day is a blessing, because there are people who went to sleep the night before and they didn't wake up. And so I have an opportunity to see the beauty of the sunshine and to enjoy art and enjoy my patients and to enjoy my family. So I'm immensely grateful for those blessings.
Okay. So how young are you?
I am currently 35 years old.
Okay. You are not 35-year-old. You are 18-year-old with 17-year experience.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's a beautiful way. I've never heard anybody say it that way, but you are correct, sir. I tell people all the time. My father asked me when I turned 35. He said, "Do you feel any different?" I said, "No." I said, "In some respect, I feel better now than I did when I was 19. Um, I feel more energetic. I feel more at peace with where my life is. I'm always striving for personal advancement and attainment. There's still there's still a lot that I want to do. I definitely want to get some business training, which is not afforded to a lot of us in the profession of medicine when we're, going through medical training, unless we take some time off to do it, or unless we're trying to achieve a combined degree. But I'd really like to get some additional business training, so that's something that's been on my list. I'm always looking for opportunities for leadership within my own organization, and have been encouraged by people I work with every day to avail myself of some of those opportunities, which is, again, is very endearing. That people would see the capability in me to lead others. I'm in a good place now, and I feel good.
Okay. How do you overcome challenge life throw at you?
Well, like I said previously in our conversation, I I I tackle things head on. I am not the type of person to just sit idly by and just let a challenge overtake me. I meet it face to face. I make a plan uh, to tackle it. I may have to alter that plan, but I'm all about uh, in some respect, being a problem solver and a fixer. And I hope that that attribute makes me a good doctor. I try to, because, I mean, medicine is just a gross exercise. It's many things, but one of the things it is a gross exercise in problem solving. You're trying to solve a substantial amount of problems for your patient. Actually, one of the tenets of the medical interview and doing your documentation is, what is your problem list? What are the problems that the patient has? And it's in some respects sort of antiquated in documentation, but when I was coming through medical school, it was something that we were required to do. They kind of beat it into us because you got to make your problem list. You got to make your problem list. But but um, but that's how I've always been in terms of tackling problems. I've never been one to sit around and say, "Oh, woe is me. Oh, I'm just dealing with too much." No, I've always had a positive outlook on life, and I've always had a positive outlook on achieving my goals. And if any obstacle comes in the way, I learn from previous mistakes. Some some obstacles are by one's own creation, but then some are not. But in both situations, you meet it face to face, meet it head on, tackle it, and move on once it's solved. That's how I've always been, and that sort of way of maneuvering in several spaces has been quite beneficial.
Why being impactful for more important to you?
Why was what more important? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the entire question.
Why being impactful more important to you?
Why do I think being impactful is more important?
Yes.
Uh, I think I don't really, I don't really wake up every day with the goal of being impactful. I wake up every day with the goal of trying to help someone else help themselves. One of my favorite hymns in the Christian tradition is "My Living Will Not Be in Vain." It's a beautiful song, and it pretty much says, if I can help somebody along the way, if I can keep someone from doing wrong, if I can show them the way, then my living will not be in vain. And that's sort of a personal mantra that I have adopted from the very beginning. I think a good doctor has to look at himself or herself as being someone who's willing to help others. And you must have an affinity for people. I mean, if you don't like people, medicine is not the profession for you. And we tell students that all the time. They see the glitz and the glamour and the prestige that comes with it and the monetary gain and all that kind of stuff. But what they don't understand is that to get to that, you have to go through a lot of stuff, and you have to pay your dues. And I would say I strive to impact others, by doing a good job. Um, I've always been one devoted to mentoring others. I've always been one devoted to mentoring students. I've always been one devoted to mentoring residents. It's always been something that has been um, a steadfast desire for me to give back to others, and because it was done for me. There were people who came before me, who mentored me, who encouraged me, who fostered in me a continued zeal, if you will, to achieve what it is that I knew God was calling me to do. And I've been able to hopefully along the way in my relatively young career try to do the same for those I've been fortunate to teach and those I've been fortunate to mentor. And so if I were to make the greatest impact, it would definitely be in the lives of my patients, hoping to improve their lives. And then definitely in the lives of those who are looking at me as being an example, that they could pattern their own careers and paths after.
How can we support you?
Well, we're always looking for networking opportunities. By the simple fact that you invited me for your podcast, that is supporting me and helping me to share my story with others. And hopefully, some student somewhere will see this. Some potential patient may see this and they say, hey, that's a doctor I would like to take care of me or my family members. Or oh, I want to be a doctor like that. I want to be a doctor who cares about not only the physicality of the individual, but the spiritual nature of the person. I want to be a doctor who practices compassionate care and who looks at the patient as a human being and not just as a disease. I want to be a doctor who listens to my patients. And so, by the simple fact that your platform exists, you are supporting me in my endeavors. And so, I am just, as we say in Georgia, hyena happy and peacock proud to have been invited to speak with you today.
What would you say about your guest experience on the show?
About my what sort of experience? I'm sorry.
What would you say about your guest experience on this show?
Oh, my guest experience on your show. Thank you. I have enjoyed it. The conversation. You asked very good questions, very thought-provoking questions to get to basically very open-ended questions, which are really really good in terms of interviewing someone. That's actually a tactic we learned in medical school to get as much information as we can from the patient interview. We should ask in abundance and start with open-ended questions. So you have done that, and hopefully my answers have been they're the truth. But I hope that you have found within my answers some continued impetus to continue to interview other people who you might be interested in connecting with. So I really like it. I will be honest with you, I didn't know about it before we connected, but now I know about it. And I've looked at a couple of your previous interviews, and they seem to be quite enlightening. So again, thank you for having me on your show.
My pleasure. So what is your final word? We are like to wrap up this interview. So what is your final word?
My final word is always and forever be true to who you are. Never forget where you came from, and by all means, never neglect your village. Those are specific tenets and sort of foster a dogma by which I live. Because I feel like every day in what I do, in and out of being a doctor, I'm able to be true to who I am. I should never forget where I came from because those experiences, good and bad, made me who I am today. And I learned from the bad and I relish the good. And my village, I often give a talk to youth groups entitled "A Beautiful Village," and it's the people, the influencers on your upbringing who make you into the wonderfully talented and accomplished adult you are or you are desiring to become. And I am grateful for my village, and I would, in the words of Dr. Maya Angelou, I would not take anything from my journey now, and I am delighted to see where my journey is going to take me. We don't know what the future holds, but as we say in the Christian tradition, we know who holds the future. And so it has been great, and I hope within those words, some of your listeners and viewers can take remarkable solace in knowing and gain from it encouragement to continue to move forward in what they want to do.
Yes. Thanks for sharing your wisdom, Al.
Thank you.
On the behalf of Intensive Success Growth Community and we are entire team, I really appreciate you. Until the next time, all good wishes to you.
All my best to you too, sir. Thank you and good afternoon.
Good afternoon.